do that? Shoot. Hold on one sec. Now I have to reopen Spotify. I like totally closed out of Spotify as if I was never going to use it for the rest of the show, which is completely false. I just need to check something real quick. Okay, cool. Wanted to make sure I didn't like accidentally knock over my computer monitor and it screwed up the entire webcam. And no, it didn't. We were totally fine. We had a little off kilter, but it's not the worst thing in the world. So, exciting news. I finally got a mic stand that I'm going to be using eventually when I get the chance to set it up. I'm so busy today that I don't think I'll be able to. Friday night, not starting Friday's stream, but maybe starting like over the weekend, I'll be able to have something set up where I'll be able to use it. But right now, it's just kind of in the corner. Like I don't know what to do with it right now. What that will be is where I'm gonna put the webcam. I'll set up this mic stream. I'll set up the mics so that the webcam can hang from it, and I can also adjust it easier. And that's gonna make life way easier than taping pencils to my computer monitor. So I'm pretty excited for how that's gonna end up turning out. But this is the coffee I waited in line for. And so I got up at like, I don't know, 8:30ish. I didn't even eat anything. Probably should have done that. But here's an interesting thing. So I live like in I don't really think it's called a complex, but it's just like a series of apartments. It's like an apartment building, but like there's stores underneath all of us. There's like 15 total, but like we're like separated from. There's like 8 here and there's like 7 here. I don't know how exactly it works, but anyways, so down the other end of the street, crossing one of the main streets, is a gas station that has Tim Hortons, which Tim Hortons is like the big coffee place near me. So it's like Dunkin' Donuts for other people. Like we have Dunkin' Donuts, but Tim Hortons is like the big. If you're anywhere ever on the northeast side, like northeast region of the U.S., you have a Tim Hortons. Especially, they also have it in Canada, since that's pretty much where it originated. But anyways, so they have like a 24-hour Tim Hortons. So I always just walk over there and grab coffee whenever I'm in the area. No, whenever I wake up, because my Keurig is broken. And I also have this $50 gift card, but like my Keurig is broken, so I can't really go and I can't make it here, even if I'm in a rush. So I'm like, I'll just run over there. It takes 10 minutes. And I specifically, the other reason that I go over there quite often is because I'm a big iced coffee drinker. I don't really drink regular coffee. I always drink iced coffee. And that stems back from me kind of like learning how to drink coffee. There's always that time period where you're like, okay, I should start drinking coffee. Like I actually have like stuff to do, and I don't have the same like adolescent energy you have when you are first born and you're excited to be alive, and then you hit puberty and you hit your teens and you're like, okay, I don't feel that at all anymore. So I need something to pick me up. So I always get iced coffee, and I always get a large one of these things because it's like $1.89 for this, and this is huge for like $2. So anyways, I'm waiting in line. There's like 5 other people because like that's the place to go before they go to work, right? And there's this dude with his wife, and they're like really nice people. You can tell like they're really, they seem like decent folk, but God, they are just like blabbing on and on to the cashier, and like that's fine. You know you can do all that stuff, but I'm like, dude, there's like 5 people behind you that have to order, and they probably all have to go to work. Like this is like the worst time for you to be like friendly and happy and whatever. And he was a funny guy, like he made me laugh, but like I was like, dude, so these people have like places to go, and you're just like dawdling. But anyways, it turned out fine. I got back in 10 minutes, like I said. I figured I would, because they're pretty quick. So it didn't end up being that big a deal. And they had like 3 people working. And what's weird about these Tim Hortons that are in the gas stations is like the size of my piano, which is about I don't know how to judge it by arm's length. You can't really see, but like I guess if I were to back up, it's like that big, right? And that's like the size of the counter. It's like it's that big, you know? That's just, how do you fit 3 people behind there? I don't know. And they're all like rushing, trying to get everyone's coffee and stuff. And I'm like, maybe, yeah, it's just too many people. You just don't need that many people. Anyways, so what are we doing today? Remember this bad boy, the project number 1. You know what? We really should make this a little smaller. Just because I don't want that in the way as much. You don't really need to see a face cam of myself. Let's do this, actually. Boom. So everyone kind of remembers this one, right? The only reason why I don't use this particular like setup instead of the face cam one more often is because I don't want like a static picture of paper. I'd rather have someone in the background going like this than I would just that. You know what I mean? And like eventually I'll come in and I'll start writing stuff, but like if I'm explaining the piece of music or I'm playing it, it doesn't look good. So anyways, yeah, this. I'll play it for you once just so that you remember kind of what the deal was with this. And then I'm going to kind of explain how we're going to develop this into something meaningful and interesting. And then we're going to go from there. So, this is how this one went. That was that song, right? So, obviously what I played is nothing what I, like, it, you know, like, there's way more to what I played than what is written down. Basically, what I wrote down was just kind of a sketch of, like, how the song would end up going, right? So, we don't want to write a sketch anymore. Now it's all about, okay, so now we have to write it out in great detail. How exactly it's going to go down. Now, we don't have to write it note for note, obviously. That's not as important. But we have to write down everything very specifically exactly how we want it to be recorded and then eventually edited. And what that also includes is which instruments are going to be a part of this whole thing. Now, I think as cool as it would be to just play piano in this and just have a piano player go, I just don't think it's going to end up sounding great without having something to fill everything out. I don't know. Or at least having the melody be something other than the piano. You know what I mean? It should be something like, I don't know, like a saxophone or something. I'm not saying we're going to go with a saxophone. I'm just saying in general. It's going to need something more than that. So what I've done is one of these. This is a second notebook that I will start using for like final copies of things. Okay, so that will be as a reference, and that will be the final copy type deal. So let me just write down. Let me just get a few things ready here for us. It's just easier for me to write it from back here. And I believe this is actually in. Yep. That's like that. So that we're more prepared. So here's the next interesting step for this whole thing. I originally wrote. You can barely see it's a little faded actually. And actually, I might have erased it. That's why it was faded. But I originally wrote intro. And these first 4 bars were an intro. Well, I bring them back every single time, so it's not an intro anymore, I don't think. I would classify it. Fuck. Alright. I wouldn't classify it as one. What I have written here, which is an F, and it says second time only, that needs to stay, because that is what I do. So when we get to this section, where I'm holding notes, that's where it goes. I want it to resolve like that every time. That I want for certain to resolve every single time. Okay, so that part will be specific. So that is one thing that we're going to throw in here. And we're also just going to write for our own sake with basically like start the, so like bass line. And we're also going to write and chords. Will be a piano. Just so that we know. Melody, we haven't decided. I don't know what's going to sound good. Unfortunately, we might not know until I get Pro Tools up and running and we can listen to Pro Tools and really figure it out. So what we're going to write is... And actually, that gets held like the whole time. So what I can even write for that is this. And just write second time only. I don't know how to like specifically label a note as second time only. I have no idea how I would do that. But the note is the second time only. First time is rest. And I can even write like first time rest. Just to clarify for everyone exactly what is going on with that note, why it's there, and what the deal is with that. Is this going to help? It does help a little bit, just because we're going to leave it like this. Okay. So everything else in the beginning is going to stay the same. I'm not going to bother writing another rest. It doesn't make any sense for this particular deal. You know what I mean? However, I do want to kind of like make this a little more even. And make it more like this. And have it 4 bars. 4 bars it's supposed to be. And the chords would be the same. We're not changing the chords. However, I will define them by putting E flat. Well, actually, it's not a 9. It's just a straight up E flat major 7. But I'll define the chords a little more so that they, it's not just whatever. It's not just like it's an A flat chord. Like I'll make them a little more defined so that we can solidify exactly what the chord is, and it's not just an A flat whatever or an E flat whatever. No, it's an E flat major 7 and it's an A flat major 7 with a sharp 11. And I did write that this time, but there are times that I didn't do that, and I'll do that quite often actually. However, that pickup there we have to write in. So that is when we'll put our little half rest and then a B flat at the end here. Like that. Okay. So everything else is going to stay relatively the same. It's just that this is marked a little bit differently so that it makes more sense and so that it will flow a little bit better, essentially. I'm pretty sure you can just put like whole rests like that on there. I don't think it's that big. Even if we're in 3/4, it really should be like, you know, like a dotted half rest. I would usually just do that. If it needs to be marked differently, it needs to be marked differently. But that, okay, so we have that intro part down, right? That's really how I want it to sound. I want it to come out as so the melody in this song is clearly different than the chords and harmony. What I mean by that is it sounds like a different instrument is even playing. I mean, if you listen to the rhythm of the melody and the rhythm of the actual like bass line and chords, it just sounds completely separate. Sometimes melodies meld together. Okay, and here's an example. So there's a famous song called Star Eyes, one of the first jazz songs I learned. And since the melody is so close to the middle of the keyboard, you end up playing the melody and the chords roughly in the same capacity, even though the rhythms are slightly different. So I'll just play that real quick. So I guess with the way that I play this song, the melody to me is like broken. It's just asking to be changed into a different instrument. I always would play the bass line and the chords kind of underneath as the melody would come up and be the more important part, you know what I mean? The other thing, too, that is an interesting thought, is what if the melody was played by a trumpet player? I wish I had a trumpet voicing on this keyboard. I don't, though. But what if the melody was played by a trumpet player? And the reason I say that is because the trumpet is a very emotional instrument that is good playing notes. I mean, they can play fast notes, but to me they sound better when playing some sort of long ballady type thing. And I feel like this would fit perfectly. I don't know. I do also think it would sound better with a saxophone reaches out to me because it's way more mellow. I mean, you hear a trumpet is it's a pretty loud, like, blaring instrument. I mean, it's a brass instrument. Brass instruments are very, like, I don't know what the word is, but they're just loud. They're in your face. They're bam. Now, you can make it sound more mute. You can have a muted trumpet. I don't think a muted trumpet would sound good here, though. I think, if anything, a saxophone would sound decent. And actually, one thing that we can do, just as a reference, just to see what it would sound like, do Kingdom Hearts flashback music. And let me just see if I can find. No, is this it? Yeah, it is. Oh, it's called Treasured Memories. I didn't even know that. Okay, let me just listen to this real quick. I'm curious. So this is actually a different one than I was thinking of. This one. I actually forgot about this one, but this is also like the flashback song in that game. But let me listen to the rest of this. So that's kind of on a long repeat, right? And that's a short song. See that? And all it really was a piano player going. Now, I don't know specifically what he was playing, but he was playing G flat major, A flat major, G flat major, F minor. Right? You can hear those pretty clearly. I don't know I don't know specifically what he was doing. Probably wasn't doing that. Heard that once at least. Right, and all that was underneath him was just like a string sound going. That was really all it was. Listen to it again. Right, all it is just a string going. And it fades in, obviously. It's not like just all of a sudden, bigger fade than what I'm doing. But that's all it is. It's just... with this in the background. Probably something like that too. Probably like. Something really emphasizing it and making it, big. Someone got shot again. No. The city is alive. But that's and that's it. And that's a pretty I remember that song pretty well. And I also remember the other one that I was playing, which was which I don't remember the name of that. Now I kind of want to see if I can find it, just because that was another like really good one. Can we just do Kingdom Hearts like OST? There it is. No, I don't want the full fucking. All right. Which one do we think it is? I'm just gonna play a few of these real quick and just see if I can find it. Oh, it goes. So, in that, there was a guitar just going. Pretty simple stuff. There was a harp who was just. Obviously a harp voice, not a real harp. But a harp voice doing that. And then there was this, I don't even know what you would call that. I don't know what that sound is, but it sounded like a bird call thing. I really don't know what this is. But listen to it. It's some wind instrument. Sorry, I don't really know what it what it is. Maybe a clarinet. Maybe like I don't know if clarinets can get that high. I don't know if that's really what a clarinet sounds like off the top of my head, but it's some sort of wind instrument up there at the top, right? So you get kind of the idea of what you're going on. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Well, I think a lot of it too is just like I grew up with that song, so I also know a lot about it. Just because like Kingdom Hearts was my jam back in the day. I remember buying that song. I was deciding between that and you ever hear the game Dark Cloud? And I remember there was always like in my family. I have a story. You got me talking about stories. In my family, like in my video gaming career, I guess you could say. I mean, you can see all of them back there. There's a ton of video games back there. It's a stupid amount. I have 13 consoles sitting on my bay window right now that I have not unpacked. But I would never like find a game and be like, that's the game I want. I want that game right there. I would always find two. Every once in a while, three, but usually I would find two. I'd end up narrowing it down to two that I wanted super bad. And, like, so, as an example, and I ended up almost always getting the two that I wanted. I would just get the one I wanted more first and fall in love with it and then get the second one. But, so, like, as an example, I remember as a kid I was trying to decide between, like, and same thing for consoles. I wanted either a Sega Dreamcast or an N64, and I wanted one of both. And I ended up getting the Sega Dreamcast because it was newer. And that was my childhood girl. Like, I had a Genesis that wasn't really mine, but I was the only one that played it. And the Dreamcast I ended up getting is like my first console, which is a funny first console. It really is. Not many people say that. Not many people would admit that the Dreamcast was their first console. I ended up buying an N64 at a flea market way later on in life. So I did get to experience that. But there were always games that I would kind of compete, like, that I wanted. For the Dreamcast, there were a few, like, I remember I was always, like, trying to decide, okay, do I want Sonic Adventure, or did I want Power Stone? Because those were like the two games I really wanted, and I ended up getting Sonic Adventure first. I loved it. Was it really? Oh, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, I went Dreamcast and PS2. I skipped PS1, but I had PS2, and that was the one I finally played the most. But in Kingdom Hearts' case, it was between that and a game called Dark Cloud, which I never ended up playing. I don't even know anything about the game. But like later on in when I got the Xbox 360, which was the next gen console that I got, I was trying to decide between three games, I believe: Lost Planet, The Elder Scrolls Oblivion, and what was the third one? I think it was a sports game. I'm pretty sure it was Madden in that year because I'm a big football fan. You could tell. They had football stuff back there, and I always wear football stuff. But I was trying to decide between those two or those three, and eventually Madden kind of fell out because I'm like, I'll get Madden someday. Like, I'll just buy it for myself. Like, it's not that big a deal. I really want. Sorry. I really want either Lost Planet or Elder Scrolls, and I ended up getting Lost Planet. And then Elder Scrolls ended up being on sale because I got the Xbox 360 like in 2000, like a year later, like 2007, and I got Elder Scrolls. That was like my favorite game ever. I loved Elder Scrolls. I still love Elder Scrolls, but like I put so many freaking hours. Anyways, so my big thing was between this Dark Cloud and Kingdom Hearts, and I was also like of our friends, the one that would buy a video game that was most unknown. Because we had a very strict, like, way of buying games, okay? Like, my friends and I would always buy either a Pokemon game of some kind, because we grew up with Pokemon, or a sports game of some kind, because we also grew up with that. And we would pretty much stick by those standards. You know, we had, like, some games that, like, an aunt or uncle gave us that we tried, and we were like, okay, this is whatever. Oh, that's awesome. Halo 3 and COD. Halo 3 was... I never got into COD. I always just played... I played Halo 3. That was my big thing with the Xbox. And I have both, actually. The PS4 and Xbox One. It's right behind me. You can see the cords of them being plugged in. They're plugged in there. Yeah. So I have both. And I really only play Overwatch. Mario Kart. That's awesome. I really only play Overwatch on there. That and sports games. I play multiplayer games on the Xbox One because I have friends on there. And the PS4, I play single player games because I like it better in general. But anyways, so I was always the one to like go out of my way to like find different games that weren't Pokemon or a sports game. So like I was the first to get Sly Cooper and Sonic Adventure, and those were like totally different. And surprised the hell out of people, and they ended up being good games that our childhood would go on to that would be a big part of our childhood. So the same thing with this. I was trying to decide between these two games, and I heard good things about both. Apparently, I still don't even really know what Dark Cloud is. I ended up getting Kingdom Hearts because it was more popular, and also the Disney character thing. Just as a kid, that like freaked me out. I'm like, how can you play a video game with like Disney characters? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Really, this truck has to be doing this now. Whatever. How can you play a video game with, like, how's that, like, because, you know, there were video games in the past that had Disney characters in it, but it was just so mind-boggling to me that was a thing. Yeah, that was the only, I mean, I got Kingdom Hearts 2. I never actually really played it. I only played the first one. But I got so into it, and I was like, this is just so bizarre. I can't believe this truck is doing this right now, and it will not stop beeping. So I'm just gonna try to, not mention it. I know, right? Like, who doesn't like Disney? And it's just so bizarre. Like that they melded that with Final Fantasy, and I didn't know anything about Final Fantasy as a kid, but so that's where we're at now, right? Because we're trying to figure out, did that truck just stop? It just sounded like it just died. Well, now I know about Final Fantasy a little bit at least, and it's just a shock to me that they combined those two, and that worked. And it did. It worked out really well, actually. And that game is a lot of fun. It's still fun today. And it's one of the only games that is kind of like, has that type of gameplay. It's a little floaty. I remember specifically, like, the gravity was really effed up on that game, on Kingdom Hearts. It was so bizarre, because, like, if you held down the jump button, you would jump, and you would just kind of, like, all of a sudden accelerate up in the air. But if you let go, you would just be, like, pulled back down to earth, like, immediately. Just, like, boom. Boom. Like, it was so bizarre, the gravity. Like, you'd float up there for a second, then get pulled right back down. It was really weird. And we always used to make fun of Sora's shoes, because Sora had really huge shoes. And they were, like, weirdly shaped, and I thought they were hilarious. And also, I used to, like, have shoes that were way too big for me like that. And I used to always think, like, that was the same thing with Sora's. Like, he just had shoes that were way too big for him. It's a whole other story. Frogger and Qbert. Oh man, I loved Frogger. The one for the PCs were actually pretty good, like the Frogger Beyond and the Frogger. Some of those were pretty good, and I would play those sometimes. PlayStation. I never had the first one. Now I do. It's right there actually. It's like on top of one of my things. But anyways, going back to this, we gotta finish this. We gotta finish this by the end of today. I mean, I have 4 hours to go over everything. So, yeah, in that Kingdom Hearts song, you know, there's a lot of string instruments, and then there's just one wind instrument over top of it. And that's kind of what I want. You know what I mean? I don't want, like, a drummer. I don't want any sort of, like... The only thing I can think of is, like, just a drummer rolling a cymbal with brushes, or something to that effect, if you know what I mean. I go off topic all the time, man, and it's just something that we all have to get used to. I have, like, a big, like, diverting path, and just hopefully we end up at the end. Hopefully. But anyways, that's kind of how I want this to be. And I think having... See, because there's actual movement going on in the bass with this... I don't know what makes sense to underlie that with, because even if I... You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how much that's really going to add to it, if that makes sense. Because there's movement. But over top, I definitely, I'm really starting to get a good, like, I'm really starting to like the idea of a saxophone. Over top. Doing the melody. At least at first. Ignore the random clicks. I have to do that just to switch between the two. I can't like combine them. But that having that in there is nice. I don't know though. I just don't want to have it like I just don't want to be copying what I'm doing with the chords in the right hand. And I think that that's an important part, too. What might end up happening, I should mention this, is that the bass will be more involved. so that it fills things out. But to me, what do I do? Okay, well, this is going to be a new process for all of us to record the songs. But I just got this also for Christmas. Like, I got a lot of Christmas stuff related to this so that it would work out smoothly. But I have this lovely piece of equipment. And this is a Zoom handy recorder that has 2 condenser mics on it at the top here. And you can actually directly plug in this keyboard to this, which is awesome. This thing is sick. And what happens is you put a little SD card in here in the slot. It immediately converts whatever you recorded into a WAV file. I have an SD card reader, which I just bought for like $9, that I plug into the computer, and I throw it into Pro Tools, and I can edit it from there. Now, what I would do in this case is if it was a live recording, I would be using this. However, if it's not a live recording and I have to use MIDI, which is probably going to be what I have to use for the most part, like for a lot of different things. I have no idea where I have a MIDI cord. This hooks up to MIDI, basically. Pro Tools does work. Pro Tools actually has a bizarrely good MIDI thing. Like, it's pretty awesome. Let me find it real quick. There it is. It has a decently... It's pretty decent, the handy recorder. I got it from Sweetwater because Sweetwater's like the best place. Well, for Christmas I got it from Sweetwater. I specifically asked for it, so I don't really know how, like... Here you go. That's the link to the Sweetwater thing. Anyways. No problem. But, yeah, so for MIDI, I could just plug it directly into here. This has a MIDI in and out, and with a USB at the end of it, which is pretty sweet. So you could just plug that directly into the computer, and then I can... Pro Tools has a decent MIDI setup with decent sounds, too, actually. It's got, like, 2 bundles with really decent sounds, and you can just start going. So, I mean, I can... Like, for that space travel thing that I was doing, I don't know if you were here for that one, but there's the... You know, I could put that on a loop in the background, or I could even just put this on a loop. If I turn this into a MIDI song, I could put this on a loop, just... and it'll work out fine. So, you kind of get, like, my gist of what's going on. Anyways. So, this type of thing is probably going to be some sort of mixture of live recording and MIDI, because I really don't want to use these sounds, like this string sound. It's fine. It's whatever. I don't really want to use that one. You know what I mean? I want to use a different string sound that maybe would sound better. Also, I don't have a saxophone sound on here, so this might have to be MIDI. You know what I mean? We won't get into recording for a long time, probably. And in fact, I will record everything offline. Usually after I'm done with the stream. Once I have everything set up, and because Pro Tools is bugging out on me right now, so I haven't even had too much of a chance to learn Pro Tools. So once Pro Tools stops bugging out on me, and I have time to sit down and really learn it and stuff, I will record these projects and throw them into Pro Tools, and I will learn how to edit them, and then I will also stream me editing them in Pro Tools, so that you can watch the entire process take place. And I'll explain before we start editing, I would explain to you like what exactly I'm doing, like what exactly I'm doing with Pro Tools and how I recorded it too. Like, you know, if it was MIDI or if it was live, how I recorded the different functions and all that stuff. I have to get the experience with it. So until that happens, it's mostly just gonna be me writing music. So, but that's the gist of it. So we're on to figuring out the different elements of this song. I think in the end there's gonna have to be some sort of string orchestra thing, because it needs to be filled out in some capacity, even though I feel like if you added enough reverb to since this is supposed to be like a flashbacky type thing, if you added enough reverb to this so that it sounded distant and it sounded like, you know, it sounded like you were remembering it type of a deal, it would probably be fine. I would like this to be a little bare bones. So I think for right now, and it will probably end up changing when I do record it and when I do put it in Pro Tools. It probably will end up changing. That's fine. Whatever you got to do, man. You don't have to stick around the whole time. You know, I'm not holding you to it. Yeah, really. I know what you mean. In the grand scheme of things, when I end up putting it in there, it may sound a little bare. So, it probably will need strings. Probably, at some point. But for now, I want to try to keep it like... I want to try to be able to edit the piano voice in Pro Tools enough so that it sounds okay with just that. Because honestly, this is a decently full sound. And I think the reason why it works well is because there isn't too much crunchiness in the chord. If I had played something like... that's too crunchy, and there's not enough going... It's not full enough. This is a full enough sounding chord that I think it will be fine. It takes up a lot of sound. It's a little bare, but it takes up a lot of sound. It's a decent sounding thing, you know what I mean? So... And this can back way off. And what we can even do is when we get to... that part, that might need to be filled out with strings. And even, we might just add strings at that part with, like, going on with... this kind of thing in the background, right? That kind of thing might end up happening, right? In the background of that. And I think that'd be fine, right? Sorry, I'm getting, like, a ton of shit. Whatever. Anyways. So, let's just continue writing. I think for now, I'd like to just keep it as a piano and something part. I think what we should do is, tentatively, the melody will be a saxophone. I think it would sound cool with a saxophone. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm completely wrong. But to me, tentatively, the melody is going to be a saxophone. And also, it's going to be an alto sax. I definitely want it to be a higher pitched saxophone, because so much of what I'm doing is so low in the register that you kind of need... I gotta flip this over. I have the notification things on this phone, like, they just blink and flash all the time, and it's really, really annoying and distracting. But this is such a low... and then eventually it's... and I barely ever get out of that register. So to continue with like a... it's just not gonna work. It has to be up here. And it has to be an alto sax because really, the only saxophone. I mean, a soprano will hit those notes, but I don't want a soprano. I just don't want a soprano. So let's move on. Yeah, one of these. I know I'm breaking this up absolutely terribly, but you have to trust me on this. Okay. So, all is basically going to remain the same. Do. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, do. Right? That's not going to change. And we're going to just pretty much be alternating between these two chords for a little bit. But same basic thing. Okay. At least from the beginning part of this, it will work out. Then A flat. And again, I'm trying to be more specific with it so that I know I can listen back to these streams, and if I ever forget something, I can always be like, oh, that's right, I did this for this part. But I want to be decently efficient. Right? And I want it to be spelled out correctly. I want it to make sense. So. Okay. However, this next part, I'd like to change. So I'm actually going to erase this. I want there to be a pickup into it, but this next part, I kind of want to change. And then after here, we actually get into the B section of the song, which I will also rate to clarify where I'm at. We're getting we're making it look like a real book, essentially. So, we gotta write E flat major, just to round it out. Fill out at least the chords for this section. I want to change the melody in this. I don't like the melody in this anymore. That's essentially what I'm trying to get at. It's fine. Like, it did the job before. It was enough. But I just don't like it anymore. It's just too dull. It's also maybe a little too low. Right? I don't know. To me it is. To me it just doesn't sound right. So it's gotta change. We have that's already better. There's moving parts in that. It's already better than what was there before. And it's up in the register, which is what I want. Okay. It just has to, there has to be something more to that. So I'm going to continue just kind of doodling and see what we can come up with. So. Now, I'll say this too. When I used to play this song before, like when I was fooling around with it like years ago, I used to do something like. It'd be moving like a lot more. There'd be all this stuff going on. However, for this, if we're going to treat it like how I want to treat it, which is this Kingdom Hearts flashbacky type thing, then I don't really want it to be moving that much because then it's gonna. So you have to kind of find a common balance. Then it's just too much. This is specifically for this Kingdom Heartsy type thing. So, that's not bad. That's not great. It's not my favorite thing that I've done. I want to try to avoid the triplet thing. I just don't think it sounds that great for this type of song. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. And I'm also getting rid of it too in the next section, in the B section, where it's. I'm getting rid of that. It's gonna just be. Keep all that, but we're gonna get rid of the whole weird triplet thing. I just don't like it. Anyways, just keep doodling. See if we come up with something better. That's actually, I like the. I like that. I like that though. Do do do. So that might be a talent, and we just hold something out there. We just hold something out there at that last bar right there. All the rest of the melody from that part is going to stay, but I like the. I think that sounds a little bit better. Let's keep brainstorming. We want to get to that point. So now we have a goal at least. Gotta get in the mindset of what we're playing for. It makes more sense when we kind of get yourself in the headspace of what you're playing for. So I'm going to play this Kingdom Hearts song again to try to get myself in the mindset again. And we're gonna go from there. Maybe we need like a little more arpeggiating, kind of like what I was just trying to do. That might be a little too. The other thing about this song that you kind of have to realize when you're writing something like this is you don't want to play anything that can't be sung. Because like I can like anyone that's ever played Kingdom Hearts, I can sing that da 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 da, and you would know what song in the game I'm talking about. Like you would be like, yeah, I remember that song. Be like, hey, do you remember Kingdom Hearts? Yeah, I do. Do you remember the da 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 da? Yeah, I do remember that song. It's kind of the same thing. So I want people to be able to go, hey, have you ever played Kingdom Hearts? Yeah. You ever hear the song do 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 do? And then if I do something like you can't sing that. It doesn't make any sense. It's bizarre. Let me refresh the stream real quick. You wanted to make it. You have to make it somewhat like personable, I guess would be the word. I honestly, I don't even really know how you would define it, but you have to make it work. Keep grinding. That's closer. I like that. So that was... That's just going down a scale. I like that. I do. I'm not just saying it either. Because sometimes I will just say it, like last time. Like this. I just basically said I liked it, and I really didn't. But I like that it's moving. I like that more than I like. Well, okay. I'm gonna play two different things. Tell me which one sounds better. Or it's a subtle difference, but it's just the or I think having it move sounds better. Normally I wouldn't want to do this scale type thing because A flat does not work very well in E flat major. I know it's part of the scale, but the 4th or the 11th is one of the most, like, one of the worst sounding notes in the scale. You can move to that chord. That's what I'm doing here. E flat to A flat. That's what they use in church for the amen. But it does not work very well with the chord. Listen how bad that sounds. And there is a reason why. The reason why is because the 4th is a half step away from the 3rd in major, right? In E flat major, the 3rd is G. The 4th is A flat, right? They're halfway apart. If you are gonna play a chord, there's two notes you pretty much always have to play. There's an exception for the first one. There isn't for a second one. If you're gonna play a major chord, you have to have one, so you know what chord it is. So E flat, and you have to have the 3rd because that defines whether the chord is major or minor. If you didn't, it'd be a sus chord, which is fine. You can do that. I love sus chords. That's a sus chord. You don't know if it's major or minor. It could go. It can go. But it's not. But the 3rd defines, you know, its major or minorness. So having the 4th in there, conflicting and crunching with the 3rd does not sound good. As opposed to it sounds so bad. So normally I wouldn't do that, especially since I'm hitting those two at the same time. So if I continue with this pattern, which I'd like to continue with that line that I'm doing, the fourth and the chord that I'm playing hit at the same time. And it sounds horrible. So there's little subtle things like that you have to keep in mind, because it just does not sound good. Let's try this. And that links. That locks in. That's way better. So all I'm doing differently is I'm arpeggiating the chord. And then it ends up linking together with it works out beautifully. So we're going to do that. It's now, yes, it doesn't have as like lyrical of a thing as, but this does. And then we kind of still retain part of the melody from before. And it's moving. I like that, actually. So what we need to do now is a big ol' eighth rest. What is that right there? Right. Simple. And then here, we have to write out the arpeggiated version of this whole thing, which is going to be something like that. Boo doo 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 doo. The next part of that, oh, I turned down the keyboard. Next part of that will be boo doo 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 doo. Oh, a Java update. I'm so glad you notified me. I wouldn't have been able to live my life without that. So that would be 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2. And then this is one of these. Dotted 8th, 16th. And then it's pretty self-explanatory from here. And what's cool about this is I'm still somewhat, at least, retaining the melody from before that I axed, which is kind of cool. And what I can do is 1 and 2 and get right into the next part, which would go like this. And then it all melds together. Could take a quick break, and I will be right back. I'll leave you with some more of my new favorite band. I freaking love this band, and I'll be right back. So I just found out that an old professor at my college just passed away. I think it was today or yesterday or something like that. And I didn't know him really. He was a He was a trombone professor, and he also led a couple of the orchestras. So I didn't know him that well. Cause I was a piano major, and we were all in our little piano major world. But he was a cool guy, from what I remember, because he hosted a few of the concerts that I went and saw. So that sucks. I hope give my condolences, I guess, to his family. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. I just happened to see it while I was on break. I just saw on Facebook that it happened. So, anyways, we're back to this. So we've now changed up the B, or not the B section really, but the second half of the A section with something a little differently. Something a little different. So now it sounds like this. And then we're going to get into and this part I'm going to keep the same, relatively, as this part. So from here, this is like the B section. I never wrote B section, but this is the B section, which will all be essentially the same. The only thing that'll be different was this is not going to be in this, I guess it's like a duplet type thing. It's not going to be a rhythmed out that way, I guess is the best way I can define it. So what I can do is I can move some of these bar lines just back a smidge. Okay. And it's fairly simple stuff. I'll even put 9. I'll even put C minor 9. I don't want to, but I'll even do it. Because I like to just shorthand things like that, but I will write it just so that it's defined. So that we have this 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. So instead of, where the hell's the pedal? It's only slightly different. It's different. I don't know where that suddenly came from. Do. Keep turning this down. This is the only shitty part about being a lefty is that you have like all the controls to the keyboard are right here, and I just keep bumping them with my elbow. So we got this. That right. Da da da. Duh. And then that, pretty simple. And if we look at what I wrote before previously, hey, we got a follower. I'm being serious. Thank you for the follow. I really appreciate it. So, this is all going to stay relatively the same. Okay. Not much is changing here. So. And then moving on from there. I can't believe my pencil like rolled and then perfectly overlapped the entire melody while I was playing through that. It couldn't have rolled anywhere else. So now we have this. I gotta make sure to write out the bar lines first. And actually, I should be putting the chords here first as well. But it's cool. And I guess this is an F minor 9. I'll write it as F minor 9. See, the reason I like to shorthand things by just writing like C minor 7 is because you never really, like, especially in jazz, you never know what I'm going to play. You only know that it's a C minor and there's added stuff to it. Unless it specifically just says C minor or A flat major. And then that's an indication to me, like, okay, I should just play the triad and nothing else. Let me give you an example because, like, well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. And I wouldn't say that necessarily. I mean, it's simple enough to just talk about writing things, but to actually write them, you know, that's difficult stuff to do. And I think that anyone has the ability to do it. And really, you just have to start by writing stuff, because you're going to write several crappy things before you write something that's decent. And this is like the first time I'm really, I mean, I've written stuff in the past, I've done arrangements, I've done things like that, but like, this is probably going to be something, I'm not going to like prejudge it and be negative, but like, this could be something that's crappy. And then one of my 10 projects that I've made so far will end up being good. And then bam. And that's all you really need. So as long as you continuously write and you don't get discouraged, that's not a problem either. I can, you know, one of these days I'm going to make a stream just called Chords. And it's just going to be me explaining chords, because I love doing that stuff. Let me show you something. This is just a nice little thing called musical syntax that I like to explain. So, oh my god, this is a disaster area. Look at this song that I've written in. So, this is the real book. If you don't have a copy of the real book, get the real book. Sorry. Fuck. The real book. Get a copy of the real book. It will help you with chords. It is awesome. This is what I use and I bring with me on jazz gigs all the time, because this is where all the standards are. This is where all the best jazz songs are that have been placed. So the easiest way to figure out like how to write something out is to listen to it first. Let me go back to Body and Soul as an example, because Body and Soul is a really good song. Okay, please try to ignore all the writing in there, the guitar and bass. That's awesome. We need more bass players, so I would stick with bass. I mean, you probably like guitar more, and that's fine, because most people do like guitar more. But you would be so surprised at how hard it is to find a bass player. It is crazy. So, like, as an example, the first chord is E flat minor 7, right? Or I guess it would be just E flat, G flat, B flat, and D flat. So when I see that 7, to me, instinctually, I'm like, okay, so I can mess with it. I can go, or I can go. But you can mess with those, okay? They're not like, if you ever listen to versions of Body and Soul, you don't have to be specifically E flat minor 7, B flat 7 flat 9, E flat minor 7, A flat 7. I hate that. Ah, that's the worst sounding chord ever. I hate that chord. G flat 7? No, expand on it. That's way cooler sounding. Every time I play that chord. Or why would you ever play F7 there, where it says C minor 7 flat 5, which would be, or I guess it would be, no, dude, you go, listen to that chord, it's so much better. But anyways, what I'm trying to explain is, like, to me, these are only just symbols that you kind of can grab from. I'm trying to explain the syntax of this and how this makes sense in musical, like, grammar language. So you can kind of embellish some of this stuff. However, sometimes you can't. If you're playing it exactly as it's written out, you can embellish it a bit. But sometimes you can't. If you've ever listened to certain songs, Like, let me give you an example of a song where you can't really do that. If I can find it. Nope, not Naima. It's Nardis. Where's Nardis? Nope, it's not Nardis. It's Gemini. There's like 3 songs to me that are all like really similar. And I always just like lump them together. I don't know why. There it is. Oh. Gemini. Here's 3 to 4. I can't actually because I on certain days I help out a school with their what do you call it? With their musical. However, I have a YouTube channel and I put every stream on my YouTube channel. So if you have to check it out there, that's fine. And there's a link to the YouTube channel in all of the info section. So I would check that out. I put all my streams up on there. After I'm done with them, I will just upload them straight up. And usually it takes about the whole day to upload them, process them, and edit them, and then publish them. So you might want to wait till the next day, but they will always be up there. But yeah, like I'm literally at the school. Like I leave from here to go to the school to help them with their musical. And as the musical is progressing, I have to be there like at night every day. So I can't stream at night yet. I had said that once I get a certain amount of followers, if I get like 1,000 followers, I will start streaming twice a day and stream at night. And stream games, not music. And stream music in the morning and games at night. But we haven't even come close to that, so let's not think about that right now. Anyways, so this song in general, you can't really embellish. It has to be E flat, and it has to be E flat, just the triad. Because if you were to embellish it, it just doesn't make sense. I do stream on weekends, and the weekends it will be pretty much the same times. Weekends are a little weird for me. It really just depends on what's going on over the weekend, and I just kind of find time to stream. The last time I streamed on the weekend, I just streamed at like 9 or 10 in the morning, and I went till 2, like I am now. And then Sunday, I didn't stream, because I couldn't. So it depends on what's going on during the weekend. I want to stream every weekend, but it just depends on what time. You got to check. My Twitter will update you on like when specifically I'm going to stream that day. But like, for example, this upcoming weekend, I will stream Saturday morning and from 9 to 2. And I will stream Sunday morning from 9 to like 1-ish, because I'm going to go watch the football games. But if you ever listen to this song, you can't embellish it too much, those chords. You can't do... That's about like the most you can do. All I'm doing is adding a 7th to that. But if I were to add any more, like... You just can't do it. Like, it just doesn't work with it. If I were to, like... You're, like, messing up the integrity of the song. The song is supposed to have this... But you can't change like something like that up. So what I'll use to define between the two, or like to give you an idea between the two. Whoops, kind of messed up the camera there. It's that. It's kind of what I'm doing here. So that you know that it can be embellished, I will put the 9th or the 7th or whatever there. And then, if I wanted it to just be the chord, I would just write like C minor with no number next to it. And that's just musical syntax, essentially. Let's keep going. Let's keep writing. So we are at where? Do 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 do. Right here. Do do do. So that would be like this. Right? And then like this. Right? And this actually kind of, I just kind of hold that the whole time, like this. And that goes for, it's kind of unclear how long I hold that for, but I believe it's just like this. And again, I will write out exactly what I'm playing here by putting E major 7 sharp 11, because that's really what the chord is. So 2, 3, 1, 2. Yeah, it would be 3 measures. It's a 3 measure type deal. So that's going to get held all the way out until here. Meanwhile, I'm kind of arpeggiating stuff upward, and then eventually we will land onto the next section, which is just another A section, which I'm going to write like double A, because it's not going to be exactly the same. And I put second time only, but you know, I'm not really repeating this. I'm going to make a second A section with a different melody. Because I don't want to repeat the same melody. Like, this is a slow enough song that if I were to repeat this whole thing, it wouldn't be interesting. You would get bored with it. There definitely needs to be like an AA and a BB part in this, or else it would just get too boring. And it has to be different in some way. Okay. So I'm going to actually get rid of this whole second time only thing. The only problem is, God damn it, I'm actually gonna run out of space. I'm gonna have to do something about that. But anyways, okay. So as we have it, this is how the song goes in its entirety. Okay. And what I'll do, just so you can see the entire thing, is we're gonna switch this camera. Play rock. That's fine, man. I don't play too much rock stuff, but I can play rock stuff. What's up, Kyle? Thanks for stopping by. Alright, so I'm going to play what I have right now in its entirety for you. Go into the next part, right? And the other thing that I should mention is there's going to be a bit of a retardando, if you will, right here. Starting here. Shallow right in. And then this kind of goes into a bit of a standstill. It's a little out of time, so I will also throw out of time. It ends up, if you were to count it out, it ends up being 2 measures. Thanks. So let me bounce this idea off you, Kyle. I want to have it sound something like this. You know what I'm trying to do. You know what I'm kind of trying to do. And I want a saxophone, an alto sax doing the melody. I think that would sound neat. That's the goal, anyways. Yeah. Well, that's I had to click back and forth. It was a mess. I don't think you could do both. Oh. I just pressed both buttons at the same time. It worked out. I didn't even realize that worked. Oh, Lester. I don't know what that is. I'm guessing that's a guitar. I have a guitar. It's an Ibanez, and it's a lefty electric acoustic guitar. It's a ridiculously weird guitar. That's the only guitar I own. This is actually kind of an interesting little... That's bizarre. I didn't even realize I can do that. That changes so many things. So if I did this again... Can I do that for like anything? This is literally... I'm literally just figuring this out. It's a pedal for a piano. No, I've never heard of that, actually, to tell you the truth. Right. Kyle, that's what I'm talking about. I didn't even know I can do that. That's so interesting. Alright, anyways. I'm messing around too much. Screw around too much. So, yeah, and actually I gotta do this. Universal sign for repeat the chord. Do string vibes. It sounds a little too perky for this song. Now, this is also not the greatest vibe sound, because you can play which vibes don't even go up that high. It sounds horrible. It's really bad. Yeah, I've never heard of those pedals for the keyboard. I'm not actually sure what that is. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you mean by pedals. Like, do you just mean like sustain pedals, or do you mean like? Let's look it up real quick. You can change different sounds with those pedals. So I'm getting the Lester G Deluxe rotary speaker. That's like what's popping up for me. I'm assuming this is what it is. It's a decently expensive pedal. Oh, okay. So yeah, okay. So I kind of get what you're going with this thing. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, that's out of my jurisdiction. I would not know, but sounds cool to me. No, I don't have too much. All I have is I have a keyboard amp and this keyboard, and that's like all I have. As far as I even have a really shitty sustain pedal, so see kind of what I'm working with. Anyways, we gotta continue with this. So this is gonna get held. like this. And basically, the chords are not going to change at all for this next part, but the melody is. So I'm going to just quickly kind of rewrite everything. I got to switch back to this. I'm just going to kind of quickly... It's easier for me to write everything over here. There we go. Just so I can see better what I'm doing. Not only that, so I just don't keep, like, bumping my arm into the keyboard, and then it's a mess. So I'm just going to quickly write the chord changes down. I'll bring it back over there for when we're trying to figure out the melody. See, I just clicked something. It's just never a good thing. Boo-doo, boo-doo-doo. I gotta refresh the stream. Give me 1 second. Alright. But yeah, this is gonna be same exact thing. Just changing up the melody when we eventually get there. So do 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 do, and this is actually all just rests, right in the little rests. The only thing that's going to stay the same is the. That's going to stay the same. That's kind of like a recall to that all the time. That'll always just keep being recalled. Today is Thursday, right? Usually they don't pick up the garbage on Thursdays, but whatever. So do 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 do. Right, so that happens what, 3 times? Yep. Right, because of the odd. Because of the odd nature of how this is written out and how that this E major chord is 3 measures, which is a little odd, and it doesn't just end there and go to the next phrase. This is not going to be kind of spatially different. The written out version of it, I mean. So like now there's going to be a double bar instead of at the end of this piece of paper. It will be in the middle. So there's that. Do 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 do. See, Kyle's got you. Okay, and this will be the same. This will be the same. Okay, got that part. Is it really? You know what's funny actually is while I was at Eden, they're trying to get rid of a bunch of old equipment, and they have a couple of Fender Rhodes that they're selling, and I told them I would buy one off of them. So we'll see if I get a Fender Rhodes, which would be pretty sweet. Do 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 do, and then we have F minor 9, and then this is where things get all kinds of effed up. And this is actually going to be the C section. I don't know how much. They never told me a price. I just kept saying, like, I'm in, I'll buy it. How much? How much? And they never told me. So I'm going to ask again later on today. How much exactly? Okay. So I just wrote out all the chords that need to be written out. They have like 3 Fender Rhodes. Now I don't know how good they are or what they are, but like they have 3 of them. And like I guess one of them was at the elementary school, and then the other 2 were at these ones. RetroHarmonics.com. I'm assuming that's where you found the pedal and all that stuff. I'll have to check that out after the stream. Do. So 1, 2, 3. That should be more in the middle. Try to be more efficient. Then we got this. Okay. Do. So that's all the same. Right. It is. Now from there is where we're going to change the melody. And we're going to change it all the way up until... Oh, I gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I saw it on Sweetwater. That's the one I was looking at. Like, where they were selling it. And then when we get to the C section of it, that is probably where I'm going to just kind of fiddle around on the keyboard, and whoever's playing the melody, the sax that is playing the melody will cut out, and it'll just kind of be this empty air type of deal with just this. You know what I mean? Type of deal. Maybe every once in a while just... I don't like that. Because then it gets a little... Because I want that to last for a while. That's going to be this ridiculous kind of vamp part of the thing. And then it also, during that portion of it, it's changing from 3/4 to 4/4. So we're changing the time signature there as well. So that's a whole new weird thing. That, first of all, we're going to have to just kind of put repeats there, or else we're going to change it to 4/4. I forget, when you change something, when you change the key signature, where do you, or when you change the time signature, where do you put that in terms of the double bar? I think you put that... I think you do something like this. No, that can't be right. That's awful. I'm going to just write it like this. No, man, I have a keyboard and that's it. I don't have any of the other stuff that goes along with it. I have an amp that I really just use like if I ever go out on a gig. No, you don't put that there. I don't have any of the other special effects or any of that other stuff. I'm not even really sure what that is, to tell you the truth. Anyways. Okay. So we're trying to figure out what to put as a melody from here. So we're going to just kind of doodle around here for a minute. No, dude, because I can't really... I'll go after the stream. That's not bad. So, So, okay, so what I'm doing there is, so, right, I gotcha. So, da, da, 1, 2, 3, and, so, get something like this. Plus, now we have a different rhythm, which is something that this kind of needed. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Right. One and 2 and. Now I forgot. That's right. Do 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 do. Do do. Now, do we want to have a pickup going into it? Alright, man. See ya. So. Where do we go from there? So now we're changing. So, this next section, we're going to have a pickup. I think we should. There's going to be, it's a C there. I kind of want to like now that we've had all this movement, this. Kind of want to let some chords sit, if you know what I mean. Okay, so I think that's what we're gonna do is. We're gonna just kind of let some chords sit like that. So yeah, I mean, I don't really know. Like, okay, so this is kind of what I'm basing this off of. Which has guitar in it. I don't know if I'll have guitar in this, because I want it to be just like, I want the piano to cover most of it. So, but I see what you're saying. I like that. So what this is 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. It's moving, but these are just kind of inner lines that are moving. Actually, this is supposed to be cut. It should be like this. And when I'm going to, well, no, because then that would probably get a little confusing. So we're just going to leave it like that. And then this is just going to be held for the entirety of the time. And we're also going to write this just so that it's decently well defined that I want to play that. I want that A to be prominent. So that's why I'm writing it like that. So yeah, I kind of want to play 2 there. I kind of want to play it like 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, 2. Oh man, this is gonna get weird. Nah, we can make it work. That would be fine. I know what I'm talking about. Like, I know what I'm writing. And that's all that really matters is that, like, it makes sense. Like, what I'm trying to do is, like, these 3 notes are supposed to be, like, inner lines. And I want this A, or this F, to be held over the entirety of the measure. So it's, you know, and that is just its own separate line. So it just sounds like at the top. Like that. That's kind of what I'm trying to do. Let me refresh the stream real quick. Okay. So now we have same thing. What do we write there? I like that. Alright. So that is just do 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 do. Like that. Fairly simple. So we know, at least at this ending part of it, it's going to go like this. Because this I'd like to retain. And then this will hold over like this. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get this A flat. Because if we do something down here and then have to jump up to A flat, it's not going to sound good. So if we go... comes out of nowhere. Or if we go even too high. You know, you want to have it so that it's set up to go into that, right? Well, how do we do that? Well, we stay somewhat within the register, and I guess we just kind of we continue to doodle. So we're just going to kind of go back and forth between here and go to here, and just kind of see what we come with. It works. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but it works, right? No. I don't like that. I was thinking of just doing like... You don't want to play that stuff too low. Or... keep playing. You even do that. Yeah, but I want it to stay down here. Keep brainstorming. That's not bad. That's not bad. It's not terrible. Though that could work. It's probably my favorite thing that I've played thus far, at least. Shit, first stream. Okay. Every once in a while, my screen will just freeze, and I have to like refresh the stream, or it like will freak out on me. Do. So. No. Change it to because it used to be this, right? That one section that I wrote out. Yeah, it used to be something really bizarre. It used to be, which I can't reach entirely. It doesn't sound good like this. Unless I just play that separately. Or... I like that more. But anyways. We still have this little section to fill out here yet. So let's make sure that's filled out. It's so funny how like this little 2-measure thing, this 2-bar little phrase, it's not even really going to be worth a damn really too much. I mean, the important parts are pretty much taken care of, but this little passing 2-bar thing is what I'm held up on. You know what I mean? Like the main melody is pretty solid. The rest of the song is decently solid. We have down, and then eventually the weird part. But this little 2-bar thing, I can't come up with something for it. But anyways. Basically, I just don't want it to sound anything like the rest of the piece, if that makes sense. Because that just sounds too similar to everything else that I've been doing, so. I like that. You could do that, I guess, but it just doesn't. I feel like it shouldn't go any higher. And the reason why is because the climactic part of this section is the, you know what I mean? So it shouldn't go up too high, because then it's basically just like a premature build. This. That's not bad. That's not bad. So what I'm doing there is that's not too bad. So we change this to something different. Goddamn stupid demo. And then this would go like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Sue. And again, sorry for being a lefty and you can't exactly see what I'm writing, but once I move my hand away you'll be able to see it. Do 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 do, and then it makes sense. There we go. So we have. And then we get into something a little strange. This weird held chord that's being, not held chord, but just this weird chord. He's just writing retardando there. So what happens is I'm basically kind of like airy, interesting, weird, kind of like up in the air thing. Okay? And it's just vamped, is all it is. So. I thought I hit the thing again. So what this is going to be is I'm just going to write in a repeat, and I'm going to write in vamp airy. And I'll write in the chords. And let me just bring this over here so I can see it better. So we're in a flatted key, so I want to try to keep flats intact here. So we have this. I have to write F flat. It makes sense if you look at it from a perspective of we're in a flatted key. And then the same thing here, except we're doing something like this. And it's kind of all just bundled together. This is going to have to be recorded separately anyways because I physically cannot stretch my hand out enough to fit this. This will also put in parentheses. There we go. Those are the chords. I wrote this out last time, but what it is the main chord is E flat, F flat, or E. E flat, E, and A flat. Before I was playing this, just so that, because that was easier for me to play, but this is really what I want the chord to be, is this on top, E flat, E, and A flat, and then on the bottom I'm moving with my pinky to B flat, A flat, G flat, A flat, B flat, just down. So it sounds like this. And then eventually what I'll do is I'll play a series of notes to get myself back to. And then repeat back up to the top. So what this last bar is going to do is be two top, and no, it sounds like, it looks like top op. It's two top, and something will be played here to indicate to go back up to the top. So it might be something like, haven't decided yet. I don't know what chords to play there yet. But that note at the top will be a B flat. And actually, that is where I can write second time only. Is up here. Actually, what we can even do is, we don't have to go back to the top, because this is where the song is going to end. So I shouldn't even really do that. And the song is going to end after, it'll do something like this. just end like that. Right? So, how long into that we're going to do this? We'll probably just play it for 4 bars. And then have a 5th bar with. Just arpeggiating that and then ending with that chord there. So, let's write that out. So we have it. So that's going to be something. And then it's going to end with this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There we go. I'm making it 5 so I don't have to write a new page for this stupid little part here. So this will be E flat minor, or E flat major, E flat minor. Actually, I might have to do it anyways, because this is E flat, and I guess this would be defined as how would you even write out that chord? I guess it would be sharp 9, I would assume. I guess is the best way to do it. E flat sharp 9 with no 3rd. That's weird though. Might be better to define it as an E flat minor. Nah, because that's not really what it is. Well, I guess it is. Yeah. It's really an E flat minor chord. And it's an E flat minor, and it's a sharp 7, and then it has a flat 5 in it. And I don't like writing music like this, but I kind of have to. It ends with this. I'll write a little fermata. So it ends like this. And actually, that'll probably just go. That's it. Then it ends. That's the song. So now what we need, and we will just write, and because there isn't really a melody going on in this part, it's just me arpeggiating the chords. Right. There's no melody. The actual bar lines I'm just using is what the melody is doing, and there isn't really a melody at the end of the song, except for, but. It won't go as fast. But I do want everything off and just that. I don't know why. I don't know why. That's how I did it in the recording, and I think it was probably an accident, but I loved it. It was an accident because I wanted to just be like. Like that. And I accidentally lifted my foot up on the pedal, and it went. But I liked how that sounded. Because it's kind of like, alright, you're out. You're out. You're out of the flashback. I did a little Trump there. You're out of the flashback. You're out of the flashback. Now we have to figure out what to do here. What is going to be the indicator to get back to here? Because we're playing this bizarre chord. And I really only want it to be a one-bar thing just to get back into it and to just really slow it back down. And this will also have a retardando. A retardando. Just something like that where we could just kind of go down the scale. Where... and play like a bunch of different strange chords. Do that. I don't want it to deviate too much from the E major chord though. I want it to really... I think it should just be a series of chords. So after a while of just doing this. To get back. Oh, other thing I gotta write in is that we're going back into 3/4. We have to figure out what to put into that one measure. And then the song is basically written out in detail. We have everything we need to then record it, throw it into an editing software, and start working on it. And this can then be put aside for the next project, which we would start after we figure this out. Because everything else is written out as well as it can be. This is the extent of the song. I don't want it to be too long. I want it to just be like this. I think that the song has enough going for it that if it needed to loop, it can loop. You can cut this weird part, this. You can cut that if you wanted to. Doesn't really matter. It's just something cool that I wanted to add to it. But you can have this. You can cut things, you can add things, you can do whatever you want to the actual song. So now we have to figure out that little bit, just this little measure of how we're going to get back to E flat. And I think what will end up happening inevitably is as I'm playing this, and I want to kind of keep it in E major, like the scale, this E major scale that I'm using. Which I guess you would define as, what would you even call that? I guess it would be E Lydian, because I'm playing the B major scale, but I'm starting on E. Yeah. But I'm starting on E. But I'm keeping the same. So basically just adding a sharp to E major. So eventually the melody will devolve after a while of a lot of that. So do we want it to just be like I think that would be fine. So this is going to be like this. The top notes, the melody, will then go like this. basically is a reoccurrence of this. All of a sudden it'll shift to... I don't know what the chords are going to be. I'm probably going to try to retain that as much as, like, the E major as much as possible and do something like... I think what I'll probably just do is do different iterations of this going down. So... because I want that to be the... and then that's it. So we have everything in its entirety. We've written out everything. Everything's cool. So, alright. Jesus Christ. Yeah. I can't believe I'm still yawning. I've had like half this. And if I didn't have to talk so much, it would probably be gone by now. But I'm going to take a quick break, and then when I get back, we're going to play through everything. Make sure it all sounds fine. And that we're 100% certain with where it's at now. And that if you listen to it, it's going to sound good, and this is what we want. Alright? So, I will be right back. The music, so you can follow along. But, I can't fit the whole thing on my webcam right now, since I don't have it hooked up to a mic stand or anything, which it eventually will, but it isn't right now. So, what I'm going to just do is leave it like this, for the most part, so you kind of get the gist of what I'm doing. Alright, and we're just going to go ahead and play through it. Make sure it sounds alright, make sure it sounds fine. This isn't a professional recording. It's not going to be perfect. But we'll get a sense of it, make sure it's 100%. This is what we want to write. Okay? Here we go. I'll even turn it up a little bit. I did that all wrong. it wasn't perfect. Obviously, I messed up a couple times because I'm not used to this melody. I'm kind of used to just playing whatever. So getting used to the melody is going to take, a little bit of time to kind of figure out and stuff. But we have a piece. We have something awesome now. Now, whether or not this ends up working out is kind of out of my, it's out of my hands now. Once it's recorded and once it's edited, it's out of my hands. It's now up to the public, basically, to decide whether or not this is going to be a good or bad song. Now, you're not going to hear this for a while now, after I've played through this, because now starts the process where offline I will figure out how I want to record it, throw it into Pro Tools, and I will stream me editing it in Pro Tools. However, I need more work on Pro Tools. My Pro Tools is also kind of acting up on me right now. So until I figure all of that out, which may take a while, it may take about a month. It may take till February to, well, that's not exactly a month, it's like 2 weeks. It may take like a couple weeks to really figure out how I'm going to process all of this. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'm going to want to stream me writing out these 10 projects first, and then I will put them into Pro. So it might even be a couple months until you even see me editing in Pro Tools. But it depends. It depends how quickly I'm able to pick up on it and start editing. But for now, we have a piece of music that has been completely written out and is completely ready to be recorded and edited. So I'm excited about that. This is the first time that we're in this kind of state. So offline, I'll figure out exactly how I want this to be recorded and edited and all that. And then hopefully you will see it on a website, or I'll put it up on YouTube. Just whatever I decide to do with it from there. But it's done. It's done. We got it. It's good. I'm excited. I'm happy about it. After listening to it and playing through it, there might be some melodic things I want to change, but nothing too drastic. I love the main theme of this, and the little things like just adding in that E major chord is awesome. I love it. So at the end of the day, I think if anything, it has a good structure to become something really cool, inevitably. And whether or not the melody stands or not, or whether or not the entire structure of the song stands, is unimportant. I think that the basis of the song is decent enough that it will it could see play somewhere. So we have this now. I'm proud of it. I'm happy with it. I don't think that there's anything else I could do personally to change it up that much, and I don't think I want to, because if you change up something too much, then it just becomes something that you're going to constantly change, and then you end up wrecking it. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it, they say. So what I'll probably do is, like in a week, I'll come back and play this again. Let it sit, let it kind of just stew, and in a week, I'll play it again, maybe on stream, and say, well, what do we think? Is it still good? Is there still anything I want to do to it? But that's how we're going to leave it. New project. Now, we do have some time. It's only 11:30. I'm going to keep going for another, probably hour and a half, probably till 1. I don't think I'll go past 1 today. It's, I have an extremely busy day today going on, so I don't want to, Okay, so, this is the space travel thing that I was working on now. So, that's the new project. And if you remember how we did this last time, as it was kind of a mess of things, because we didn't really have anything solid to go off of, and I was using this. Right. That was kind of the basis of what this was going to entail, is this just kind of repeating. And me kind of soloing around this. This kind of chord. You know, whatever I decide to do with that. But that's the basic chord. And then we still hadn't really figured this out. Hadn't figured out what exactly we're going to do with that. And then I wrote in these chords here that were going to be played by a string instrument. And I don't remember exactly what they were. So I have to look at this again. That train whistle was like almost the same thing. You know, I just realized is this is actually like kind of wrong. Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. It works. That's right. It's that. That's the first chord. Oh, no, it's not, because I erased that F. You just couldn't see it. I erased it. I got rid of that F. I don't want that in there. Yeah. I don't want that F in there. That F and F. Sounds like that. Right? Those were the chords that I was using. What was this? So the first chord is... So you can make that sound. And what that's supposed to be is like underlying stuff. Underneath everything. While this. I still don't really know how I want this song to end up, if that makes makes any sense. Or actually, it's... Yeah, I still don't really know. Oh, it is that. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. So I still don't really know how that song's gonna end up. I know that that's gonna be kind of like a turnaround. You know, it's something that's just a little bit of a change of pace. But for the most part, this is gonna be kind of this ambient sounding song. It's ambiance music. Because there's not really a melody to this. Again, remember this. Because this is kind of... It's kind of what I'm basing it on a little bit. It's always something that you're going to base it on, but just like listen to this as an example. See, at least in the beginning, there's very little chordage. It's really just like... with... You know what I mean? Like there's just kind of like different things going on. I don't know what that boom 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 boom. I don't know exactly what it is, but there's that boom 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 boom, along with. Whatever it is, and then do 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 do. You know, going on in the background as well. Kind of just going on with that. So in this, we kind of have like pieces of that, right? now we have we have chords that are just kind of very background stuff. With right, so we're trying to figure out how to mesh all of that together, and that's a tough thing to figure out. You know what I mean? So this type of project, let me just kind of show you at least to start what we're going to be working with. This type of project will require a grand staff, which would be this and then this and one of those. I still am horrible at this, but anyways. Now this is in D flat major. I gotta bring this over here seriously. We're writing flats and sharps. You have to be precise, and I don't want to be all over the place. Now, did I decide to put this in? No, I didn't. No, this is for the most part in 3/4. Okay. Yeah, for this kind of project, you need a grand staff, for sure. It's the only way to do it. I want, like, the start. But we're getting somewhere with this. I actually like this a lot better than what I had previously written down. So, I like that a lot more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the rough copy and write that in, because that's going to be, I feel like I want to place that somewhere, you know what I mean? I like that a lot more than this, to tell you the truth. And all I'm doing, really, and for the most part, the chords are up here, so. Oh, you know what I mean when I write that many flats. I'm just going to write out each chord that I'm playing. So we have 1, 2, there we go, there we go. God. It's very tough to write like this. But I'm playing this with one hand, so I have to write it like this. We have F, we have A flat, and then we also have B flat. And E flat. Now you can't really see that, but then we move everything. All we do is just move one note up. So A flat, B flat. Oh, it's not B flat. It's a natural. D flat. And F. Like that, right? And then this is pretty simple. This is just, sure, both naturalized for this. You can even add that if you wanted to. I don't know how much that would change it. Yeah, let's add it. Let's add it just to have it. And we're flatting that. And this is just changing it completely to A flat, C sharp, or I could just write D. Let's just write D. Yeah, you know what? We have to do that anyways because we'll write G flat. And then D, and then G, and then this, and that is also flatted. Then we have this, which is that, and that. Kind of a mess. But again, if I had to, I can just go back. So and actually, this would be like that. And I know it's weird because if you listen to it on a piano, those clash so hard, but you probably wouldn't be able to hear it as much if we brought one of the two out more. If these were more underlying chords, and those are really just passing. Because if I changed it for just one measure, it would sound not good. Why not just keep it? Yeah, sure, you can't hear that chord as well, but you're not really supposed to be hearing the chord. The chords are just supposed to be background, very soft. You can't hear it as much. You know what I could even do is I can shift it so that you can hear more than you can hear this. So you can barely even hear. Like if I really played this out, then you can hear it. But if I start backing off, then that's more important. So, and then at some point during the song, I want to shift from to at some point I want to shift to we can even do that at some point. I mean, I was joking around with that before where I was going but I kind of like that, to be honest with you. You know, that could be like a more intense part of the song, so it's more of just kind of this. But all of a sudden, you can start repeating that over and over again, and all of a sudden it's getting built and built and built. So let me just kind of explain the problem with writing this song out on string with you guys. This is the type of thing where this is 100% going to be played MIDI, and until I get the program working and I can loop things and I can play things and loop them, I just am not going to be able to do this because I can't plan out how exactly everything's going to be written out because I can't hear it. You know, I can't sit here and go And then back to this, like, and just assume that I'm still doing that. You know what I mean? It's just going to be too much. So this is going to be one of those ones that we have to set aside. It's just not going to work right now. However, there's a few things I want to write. I'm just going to quickly do this. I'm just going to write that. It's do 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 do. And then I guess it would be C flat. And back to this. Yep. Just so that I have it as a baseline. This is something that I'm gonna have to like really sit down and spend some time materializing it in my head so that it sounds decent. So with that, I think I'm gonna. I know I said I was gonna go to 1, but I'm afraid if I start now, it'll cut me off at a good moment, and I don't want that to happen. So I like to thank those who came out. I appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, 9 to probably. I'll go straight till 2 next time, because we'll probably knock out a couple projects or maybe just one, depending on how long they take to materialize and stuff like that. And I'll kind of sit on this and think about it a little bit more. Maybe I'll have something prepared that I want to solidify next time. But if you haven't already, please hit follow. Helps me out, keeps me going to continue playing for you guys and writing music for you and keeping the recording of this stream alive. And yeah, I really appreciate you guys stopping out, and I'll leave you with another song. And thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow.